GERO 200, what's up? It is Sunday, February 27th, 2022, and we have a great week for you guys to think about here. The weekly assignment, it's going to be caregiving. It's something that you're going to have to deal with one way or the other in your lives, okay? Whether you're caring for a very young child or you're caring for an older parent or grandparent, okay? Or somebody's caring for you, all right? You just had a sports injury, right? Somebody's got to get you to the doctor, get you to the PT, all that kind of stuff, okay? It's all wrapped up into this kind of field of caregiving that we're going to talk about. Just kind of a heads up about what's going on this week. You see right here, the midterm opens today, all right? It'll be open for an entire week, all the way out till next Sunday, March 6th. You have 2 hours to take the exam. There's 60 multiple choice questions. You guys can nail this easily because it's stuff you've already done. Some of the same questions you already had may show up, but they are random, okay? Grab them from a pool, so you got to be prepared going into it, okay? And Julia's put up this great study guide right here telling you exactly what you need to do to be prepared for the midterm exam. Again, all multiple choice. Fight on. Speaking of which, with the big fight on, we got a lot of issues going on in the world right now. We're still kind of unsettled by the pandemic. Yeah, things are getting better, but don't forget, 2,000 people are still dying a day in our country from that. It's a lot of people. And then we get to Ukraine, which you never think these things are going to happen. You think we're beyond this as a civilized society, and our hearts go out to the people that have friends, family members, and some connection to the Ukraine. Let's hope this thing gets better soon. But we do have a shining light of hope that we can all come together with, and that is USC Trojan basketball. We beat Oregon. We beat Oregon State, okay? And we are rising to the absolute top, so kudos to the Trojan basketball team. And just let's keep going. Let's keep going, man. It's super fun to watch, and it's super fun to get behind them. All right, let's continue on here. All right, into our weekly assignment. Okay, so we've gotten a real good background on the global issues of aging through these first two weekly assignments. A lot of it was kind of the sociological and economic impact of having so many more older people that are making up, the percentages of our population. Some countries got it wired, some countries don't. Okay, we saw with the pandemic we didn't have it wired, and we looked into some of the issues to our country here. Okay. We talked about some of the, the sucky things about getting older, and we went into, why things are happening in terms of aging. What are the risk factors for age-related disease in the theories section? Then we banged out a couple really difficult, non-communicable, progressive diseases of aging that require caregiving on your part. Okay, getting somebody to the infusion center because they're getting treated for cancer, okay? Getting somebody to the doctor and to the gym because they have diabetes, and you want to turn back the pages there. And then the huge care issues that happens when people have mental health issues, and this is both depression and the other health issues like bipolar, schizophrenia, et cetera, and then of course Alzheimer's disease. And there's a lot of care, a lot of time, a lot of burden that goes on to you guys. So that's what we're going to go into right here. We're going to go into the caregiving part. Okay. Awesome. All right. And I just put this picture in right here. This is something that we did do today. Okay. You can see the caregiving chapter is opened up for you right there. All right. You can see the really beautiful imagery that we see here. And again, what goes around kind of comes around. You see here the mom with her son, and then the son with his mom, and this is, it's kind of like our social contract, that we're going to look out for each other, and we're going to look and see, how we stack up as a country, the U.S., not so great actually. All right, so this right here is part of the social contract, okay, so this is, we've been together for 39 years, okay, and yeah, and it's in sickness and in health, okay, and rich and poor, and on and on and on. And so, yeah, this is something, she helped me through multiple surgeries because of my cumulative damage from being an athlete my whole life, and I'm always there for her in terms of treating her leukemia. And so she got infused with a bag of antibodies today. You see it right there, okay? And there's probably some Omicron antibodies in there. So I'll give her a little giddy up on that. I go down with her. I've never missed an appointment since she first got diagnosed 9 years ago. Okay, never once. And they do have to give her some antihistamines. It can knock you out a little bit, and so it's important that I be down there with her and drive back from San Diego. All righty, cool. So I'll be putting the video right here. All right. Again, this social contract, like I was talking about right here. And then we have um, this bulletin put out that predicts what was going out by AARP. We're looking for a new update on this. There is not an update, but it does project all the way out to 2050. Okay. Now, before we get into the numbers here, because it does give us a lot of data to kind of grasp and think about. And again, you guys can use this, someday in your future workplace. We can kind of look graphically at some of the stuff, that information that we put here down below that does summarize all this, okay? So a big concept in gerontology was called the caregiver support ratio, okay? So, you can be sandwiched in the middle, okay? So you have young children, and so they're not earning anything, okay? They are dependent on you for their well-being, and it transitions, all the way through somebody into their 20s being dependent, and and then you have the older parent, okay, that maybe needs assistance in terms of getting to the doctor and getting their house clean, getting their bills done, on and on and on. And so you're that person in the middle, and they call that a sandwich generation. All right. So if we're looking at this caregiver support ratio, so you're seeing here your number of caregivers for persons need, divided by the number of persons needing care, okay? And, we can see here when, I was in my, 50s, okay, and 40s, all through here. So I'm a baby boomer through here, okay? Says boomers turning 45, okay? So I was part of a large number of people in my generation that could support our parents, okay? My generation had far fewer kids, okay? All right, and so what happens then is you progress here chronologically in modern times, going from 1990 all the way up to 2050, you can see that we didn't replace ourselves. So a lot of times people had one child, no child, whatever the issue is, okay? Same things happen, in Europe. Remember, you think about all of these different countries that are like this, China, Japan, okay? And so there are fewer people to perform the care that I was just talking about. So we're looking right here from, for when I was there for my mom and for my in-laws right here, we could, pass the baton around, we could share the caregiving duties, okay? But what happens is now in this current situation right here, you see that we're dropping off to going to be half as many people around to help out to do these duties. And this is out here when you guys are caring for your parents and grandparents. This is what's going on right here. So we can see, it's illustrated graphically, and then it just kind of shows you the concept. Okay, 2010. There were 7, potential caregivers. It could be family members, friends. Okay. In 2030, this drops to 4 for every 1 person that needs care, and then it drops to 3 to 1 in 2050. Okay, and so this is a big deal. So we're going to have to come up with a better strategy at a society level that's going to be caring for these people, because we don't have the friend/family support that we used to have back in the day. All right, and that's what this is all about. So just kind of trying to figure things out. So at the society level, how do we stack up globally right here? Okay, When I look at right here is caregiving as a kind of a government program, okay? So this is the average when we're looking at the European Union right here, okay? Um, but in terms of this, and what we're looking at here is long-term care expenditure. So you guys are business majors, so this is, a percentage of the gross domestic product, so how much output our government is funneling into creating a social support system, the financial kind of underpinnings for hiring the people, for creating housing, all these different things, okay? And so we can see that certain countries put out a significant part of their country's income, their gross domestic product. And we see out here, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, and yes, these countries have a higher tax rate than we do, and so then they turn around, they send it back into the population. Finland, Belgium, Japan, on and on and on and on. Again, this is an average right here, a collection of countries, and then look at us, way over here, at the bottom. So basically, it is this whole concept in our country, capitalistic in nature. Um, you make it on your own, okay? And that's all fine and good. But what we're seeing now is that people are living longer than ever, and they're losing this social network for support. Okay, so there's going to be some serious issues that happens here. All right, so that's what I talk about right here. I said, so how does the U.S. stack up globally in terms of government support for caregiving? You can see that we're really way at the bottom of this entire collection of countries that were examined. Okay, um, and then there's a whole different level of caregiver support. So does our government have reform so that we have either tax credit, tax deductions, some type of financial support for people that have young children? Okay, and again, if we look at the amount of public spending per child, okay, for early childhood care, and so you need daycare and after school care if you're a working parent, okay? And we could see once again, we see that the Nordic countries right here, okay, Norway, Iceland, Finland, Denmark, Germany even, has a significant amount of public spending, and then look at us down here at the absolute bottom, okay? So yeah, so we don't stack up very well, okay? All right, so what does that mean? Okay, it means you're on your own, okay, in terms of caregiving for your family, all right? So you got to hire somebody if you have two working parents, okay, or you may elect, hey, you know what? I don't make enough money to work, so one of us is going to have to stay home and care for our children, and one of us is going to have to stay home and care for our parents because we're not going to get the government support to get this done. All righty, so we can do analysis, okay? And we look here of the typical caregiving that we're going to see in our country, okay? And most older Americans receive care in their own homes, and we see this on a percentile basis, okay? So, people want to live in place. People want to stay in their own home, okay? Um, Maybe they'll live at a friend or a family member's home, okay? So, that's the next tier right here. And then you see nursing homes, senior communities, they make up a smaller amount right here, all right? So the burden is going to be immediate, okay? And if we look at you as a caregiver provider, so people are staying in their own homes, um, most caregivers provide care outside their own homes, okay? So that means right here, okay? So you're driving to grandpa's house, all right? That's what this means, okay? So the orange in the orange is coincidental right here, okay? So um, aging loved ones own home, okay, is the most common. Okay, you see it right there, and then we see right here. Okay, so we see right here that again, this means the older member is most likely to receive home care, 76%. Okay, and the majority of the time they'll be living with you, the caregiver. Okay, and that's the bottom line right there. All right, so these are all some of the out-of-pocket expenses that you can expect Okay, so if you're living in a nursing home, you're looking at say 6 to 10 grand, okay, in terms of care. Alrighty. If you're living in an assisted living facility, no, so maybe it's about half, about 5 grand a month. Still a significant amount of money, okay. And then if you're just hiring part-time care to come to your house, depends on the care. All right. Low-level care, about 2 grand a month. I know the people next door, they needed significant care. Their kids were not coming down. The kids lived a little bit north. It was $400 a day next door for these people. It was really tough, and it was during the pandemic. I normally helped out, and I couldn't help out. Okay, so these are significant expenses. Okay, um, if you have some type of injury, you're older. Okay, in order to qualify for skilled nursing facility care, as shown right here, okay, you have to have completed a 3-day inpatient stay in the hospital and have hospital-related medical condition when you were there. Then, for the first 20 days, okay, Medicare will pay for this nursing home benefit. Okay, thereafter, um, you're going to be paying with insurance for the next 21 to 100 days, $185 a day, co-insurance, okay? After that 101 day, if you're still needing nursing care, guess what? You're on your own, okay? All righty. Medicare does pay for certain home health services, PT, OT, okay? But it doesn't care for 24-hour care, meals, homemaking, custodial service, all right? So the reading that we have up here is basically statistics on what I've been showing you right here, okay? We then ask you to get in here and get in there and discuss it and mix it up, okay? And in this case, we're looking at the cultural uniqueness that we have, especially here in SoCal, of all the different populations, okay? So right here, this is a publication looking at care by the APA, the American Psychological Society, looking at diversity in caregiving. The unique needs, okay? Everybody, religious differences, differences with respect to how different cultures view medical care and medical services, okay? And then also, friends and family and how that differs. So this is a really cool video right here that it's us versus what goes down in South America in terms of caregiving. And then we talk about social workers. And social workers are the middle person, okay, that figures things out. So you need caregiver, you contact as a social worker, they are well connected. And this kind of shows you a typical life in the day of a social worker. They're highly skilled and highly trained, that their salaries are very poor, okay, on an individual basis. You can form a big network and do well, but on an individual basis, it can be difficult, okay? So what does a social work do, okay? First of all, they have to have a strong desire to want to help, okay? They then will sit down with their client, okay, maybe your grandparent, and find out what every situation is, okay, determine their needs, create goals to fix those needs, okay. Then they have a network of people they're connected with, okay, and they're going to be referring you to each of these people in this large team that can help out your parent or grandparent that has these special needs, okay. They are actively trained, and they have multiple certificates, okay, that where they can show a specialty in terms of each of the support missions that they have with respect to older people. All right. This is where, if you were to get a social work degree, where you can work for government agents, you can open up your own private practice. Every hospital and mental health facility has social work staff, big tiers of staff, okay? You can work in community centers, you can work in a prison, correctional centers, government agencies, schools need social workers, child protective agencies, and this is a branch of our government family aging services. You see a large proportion end up in terms of delivering mental health problems, and the social workers that are out there, helping people that are homeless, or unhoused, okay? All right, so we want you in this discussion to read the information on diversity, okay? Think about the role played by social workers and comment how they help in delivering the best care for those in need, okay? Read this prompt and think about it, okay? Um, you know, I think, another thing I want you to talk about in your discussion, I want you to think seriously about your family, okay? Are your parents living alone? Do they live with you? Do you expect them to do so until they die, or are you going to bring them into your household? What is the culture about the family collective? Okay, that we don't really have in this country. That is, again, this diversity issue that we're talking about. Okay, so talk about this. Okay, and the family collective is huge. Okay, it benefits everybody. Um, it's a lot more going on here than we have over here. Okay. All right, so if you come over here to the PDF file, and this is where, again, where some of the questions for the quiz will be found. You just kind of click right here, my friends, and you'll find it is very much so a kind of reiteration of what I just did. Again, it shows you this progression, from 7 caregivers to 2034 to 2053. Okay, those are the kind of numbers that'll pop up in your quiz. Okay, what is it that people are looking for and again, we can talk about a whole different lecture about child services and caregiving there, but we're looking at long-term service and support for your older friends or older family members. Okay, and who's going to be needed? Well, the older you get, obviously, people aged 80 years and older are most likely to need this long-term services and support. Okay, and of course, you guys know from this class that this is a growing demographic. I mean, so it's exploding in terms of numbers. Okay, the people that do traditionally caregiving, in our culture over the last couple of 100 years, has been people in this age group. Okay, but they now are, I'm the youngest of my baby boom generation, and I have blown past 64. Okay, I'm 65. All right, this group right here is remaining really, really flat and decreasing. Okay, that would be my children if I had children younger, or something like that. Okay, all right. So we just see the availability of caregivers is going down. So we're just reiterating that, and so we go into what's going on here in terms of numbers. Okay. We see that, as indicated here, 2/3 of Americans believe that they'll be able to rely on their family. So this gets back to the discussion, okay? Do you believe in the family collective, okay? Can your parents and grandparents rely on you, okay? Um, yes and no. We're in a very mobile society. What if you get a job in New York and your parents live in LA? What are you going to do? Then you're going to have to hire somebody. What if you end up and you get a job in Paris and you move to Paris? Okay, so so we have this shrinking availability of caregivers. All right, you don't have a brother or sister to punt it to, so we got to come up with something. All right. So that's what this is all about right here. So I just want you guys to read through this, read it for pleasure. Don't get too stuck on the facts, but do have your quiz open, okay? And we see that for example, more than half, that's almost 60% of home health aides. Okay, these are people that you're going to hire, are this age 45 and older group that we just saw when I was just talking about the previous page is shrinking. So the family dynamic and friends that were going to be caregivers are shrinking, and even the people that you would want to hire to do it are shrinking. Okay, so we are kind of getting into a super risky situation. Okay, so this right here again goes over the percentages of the population and their likelihood of needing assistance. Okay, all right. So then I know you guys are a lot of business econ majors. Okay, so we can look at some economic models. Okay. This is a really cool data right here, looking at the kind of regional effects of this dynamic of needing more caregiving, okay? And it kind of goes through this right here. So I want you guys to check that out as well, okay? All right, so this is the caregiver support ratio, and it's just verbiage supporting what I just showed you right here. All right, so we're showing, the dynamic of the change going from each of these kind of decade epochs in our current existence historically and what's happening right now. Okay. All righty, so we see here this is 20 years, 20 years, and 20 years time, and what's going to happen. Okay. All right, cool. Um, so again, this is the caregiver support ratio in the US, okay, and how it has transcended over history, okay? So this is me helping my mom, helping out my in-laws, you see right here, okay? We're 45, 50 years of age, and then what happens is we start getting older, and there's so many more of us, and the replacement, we didn't have enough children, so we don't have anybody to help us, okay? And the older we get, the fewer the people are that are out there to support us in terms of doing the caregiving, okay? This is that projected age and population, looking at millions of people, okay? And this is, right here, looking at boomers getting older and older and older. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. And we already know that there's a lot more people 80 years of age and older. And we saw earlier in this article that they were honing in on the other people that are the ones that need the most care. So we're looking at, this huge exponential increase in people that need the most care and not enough people around to do the care for us. Okay. All right. All right, so and this is getting into this 80 years and older age group, and what's going on. Okay, my friends. So that's I'm not going to go. I'm going to not read through all these numbers. This is all for you. You can see in here that depending on state, the ratio changes. Okay. Again, look at this dynamic of going from 6.6 to 2.9 here in our country. California, 7.6 to 2.7. It's real interesting here. A lot of people moved to Arizona to retire, and we can see here that they have a far smaller support group. Okay. Let's take a look at some other numbers here. Okay, let's look at, for example, how about Florida, 2.3, not so bad, okay? And then see Louisiana right there, okay? But you can see these big drop-offs, okay? Look at Nevada, woo-hoo! They had the most precipitous decline, okay? So you can just find your state and figure out what's going on here, okay? Kind of interesting. All right, guys, that's it. So I want you to have fun with this. Don't worry about the midterm. Talk with amongst yourselves. You can help each other out. You're going to do great on the midterm. No reason to stress about that. Continue to be pumped up about the Trojans. They're going to go really far. And that's it, my friends. Fight on.